What Juraj Slafkovsky said in a recent article for The Athletic has Habs fans absolutely fired up as he is getting ready for this season, getting ready for the future in the best way possible. We're going to get into everything he had to say. Plus, we have an important lineup and injury update for the Montreal Canadiens heading into their season opener as one player is not going to be available. But we also got to talk about an article talking about bold takes from Montreal this year, including some things that involve Slav himself and Kirby Dach. There's a lot we got to get into coming up on this episode of Habs Digest. But guys, before we get into the video, I just got to ask you one last time. Our goal was to hit 15,000 subscribers before the season start. By the end of the day tomorrow, that's our goal. I know it's still far away. We're still 200 subs away. But if you are not subscribed, you're part of the half the people watching this video. That's thousands of you that are not subscribed. And you want to help us hit that huge goal of ours. We'd really appreciate it. Jesse, I want to start with, oh, this could be so good. We got to get into these bold takes. Now, there was an article posted online that you sent me, and I thought it was really, really interesting, and we'll get into it here. And it's from Xhekaj, and this will be linked down below to go check out the other hot takes, the bold takes, that are very interesting as well. Talking about some bold takes for the 2024-25 Montreal Canadiens. And one was that Slafkovsky would score 30 goals, and we'll get into that in a second. But also, that Kirby Dach stays healthy and finishes top 2 in scoring for Montreal. And I think when I first read this, Jesse, this is one of those perfect bold takes where you're like, I don't know, I don't really see it. Because I'm like, I think Caufield and maybe even Slav could be higher. But then you realize, like, you look at the Habs scoring from last season, second on the team last season would have been 66 points. And Suzuki alone had 31 power play points. Caufield had 21. But, like, it's not that crazy, especially with Dach on that first power play for now. Jesse, what do you think about these bold takes? Because they're both takes. Like, Slav getting 30, I can see maybe a bit more. But Dach second in scoring is one of those that makes you do a double take and think, yeah, you know what? This is really possible.
It's possible, definitely be difficult, but something that this team definitely needs. I feel the same way that he'll probably end up, kind of year coming back from injury, probably still behind Caufield. But if he can kind of keep pace with Slafkovsky, who I think, scoring that 30 is totally possible. A great take there as well, right? Because you got to feel like a jump from Slav is really like a jump for the Habs. Like, his development really helps this team so much. They're just so linked. It's that young superstar. If this guy can take his game to the next level, this is what the team needs. And the same can be said about Kirby Dach. Like, he's our second line center. We know that the talent's there. He's going to be playing power play. Like, we need him in an ideal world as our second line center to be our second best player, because we know he's a playmaker. He can do more than just get those goals and racking up those assists, where if he could do that, maybe he would kind of get into that contention. But I think that should absolutely be Kirby Dach's goal is, if not first, then being second on the Habs in scoring, setting his goals really high, just because that would be so huge for this team this year.
I think both these takes really rely a lot on the power play this season. And I know there's been a lot of question marks surrounding that, especially after a very, very poor showing in the preseason. But Marty, somewhat joking about it, kind of saying, hey, we haven't shown other teams what we actually have yet. We'll see, but that first power play unit of Dach, Suzuki, Caufield, Matheson, and Slafkovsky is going to be conducive for a lot of production for all of them. And honestly, last season's woes can largely be attributed to Kirby Dach not being there. I'm not saying he's going to shoot them up to be a top half of the league power play, but I'm not saying that's impossible either, Jesse. With his playmaking down low, I think especially his power play assists, his shot is fine, but Kirby's mainly a playmaker. And especially seeing Caufield's jump in playmaking in terms of assists last season, it's not insane to me to say, like, Kirby, depending on his line mates, again, if he's playing with Newhook and Armia for a good chunk of the season. But we look at Line A, and that, we have more than half a season with Line A that's likely going to be on Kirby Dach's line. That, to me, Jesse, is also going to be very conducive to a lot of assists, which, again, I think will really shoot Kirby Dach up these rankings.
And Kirby Dach has the potential, when you watch him in the offensive zone, to be such a good power play player. In fact, in the small bits of time that we've got to see him there, he has so much poise in the offensive zone. Yeah. Never gets too rushed, can kind of play within a telephone booth, which you really need right on the power play, because you got less time and space. Like, the best teams, they're really forechecking you. So you need those guys that are really calm with the puck, that have a big body that can really protect it. And Kirby Dach is one of those guys. This guy can be a beast on the power play. And this is exactly what we need for it to improve this season. So look for Kirby Dach to be a big part of that.
He'll be a huge role. I love the idea that now him or Slav could be the screen man in front of the net. It's going to be great. But let us know what you think down below. Is it bold to say Kirby could be second on the team in scoring? We'd love to hear from you. But we're going to quickly move on, Jesse, to a bit of a lineup update. Now, today, Martin Saint-Louis was talking to the Habs press, and we saw the practice, and we saw certain players step out of practice early. And, well, we're not going to string you along for too long. It's Jayden Struble. And unfortunately, as you can see, as we tweeted out and we post on Instagram, all that stuff, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. You guys have been starting to follow us, which is great. But a tough way to start, as we said, Jayden Struble is unavailable to play versus Toronto. So, Jesse, those defensive pairings are absolutely locked in now. There's no more question marks. It will be Matheson with Guhle. It'll be Hudson with Savard. It'll be Xhekaj with Barron, barring some last-minute decision that I don't expect them to do. It will also be Montembeault and net, which I like to see. But Struble was one of those guys, I actually thought he was going to get the opening night start over Justin Barron and play with Arber Xhekaj. To me, it sucks that it's him that gets hurt heading into the regular season because I think he had one of the best camps of any young Habs defenseman, and I was excited to see what he could show, especially in this premier matchup Wednesday night versus the Leafs in the season opener. It sucks, but I can't wait to see him back because, as Marty said, it's not a serious injury, thankfully.
Yeah, he's a beast, and he's going to be ready to go when the time matters. And I think that his game, like this guy's going to be an NHLer for a long time just because he plays a really simple but really effective game, which often we want so much. And I would say a lot of our D-men, they can take a page out of his book of sometimes just simplifying things. In fact, all the Habs, right? Sometimes just playing a little bit more of that simple game is really the way to go. He is so effective, though, so good all the same. You know, unfortunately, a little bit of an injury here. He'll be ready to go. Obviously, my projection for the top six for the Habs, for their defensive pairings, rather, I should put, is on point with that there, but Struble's going to be a huge part of this really going forward. I'm a huge fan of his game. We kind of forget like how good he was for a large part of last year. He kind of took maybe a little bit of a step down, and I think some players actually forgot of how good he was all that time previous. Like this guy is this Old Faithful, like what you get when he's out on the ice to somebody that's consistent, that's making really good plays. So he's a third pairing guy right now. Like, do you feel, Josh, is there a world? I know he's such a young player. Do you think he could ever be a second pairing guy, or do you think no matter what kind of team that this guy, he'll always kind of be a third pairing type of dude?
I mean, I think in a certain world he could be a second pairing. The question is basically whether or not Montreal's pool of defensemen right now is conducive to that. I think it could be, but again, I think I'd want to see more reps of him on the right and the left side, because of course he's a left-hand shot, and right now there's no spot on Montreal for a top four left-hand defenseman unless you decide to move Hudson to the right. So it's tough, and I'm talking like 2 years when Matheson's gone, right? Like, I think he could get there because we saw some crazy offensive potential at Northeastern, and I feel like people also forget when he first made his debut for Montreal, he went on an absolute tear for a couple weeks. We were like, holy crap, this guy is straight up one of our best defensemen night in, night out. He did fall off production-wise. He started making more mistakes. That's going to happen, right? But in the future, I see a world where it's possible, whether it's with Montreal or not. Like we said about Jordan Harris, I don't know. I'm excited to see where he starts the season with Columbus as well. But let us know your thoughts on Struble and maybe Monty and Primeau probably getting the back-to-back on Thursday down below. Final topic, though, Jesse. We got to go back to our boy. This was, there was a lot to do. It's going on in this article, I should say. And Arpin Basu with the phenomenal article, very well researched. It will be linked down below. Please go check it out. Give it a read if you have an Athletic subscription. It's worth your time. Slafkovsky says a lot about Slovakia media and their hockey. We're not going to get too much into that in this video. We're going to focus on what he had to say about winning. And first of all, here's the article. Montreal, when they drafted him, one of the first things Bobrov said, made a pitch for him, was the late riser, saying that one of the first of the two most important points was about Slav's personality. And let's get into some of these quotes that he had in this article. So he was asked about, what is the best version of yourself? He said, if I'm the best version of myself, I can be one of the best in the world. Obviously, you have special players in the world. I don't know if I can be on the level of a McDavid, McKinnon, or Matthews, but I can bring something. And to me, the answer to this is how many rings you have at the end of your career. And he said he looked down at his hand and said, if you have 2 rings on your hand, I think you did pretty good. But that wasn't it, Jesse. He also said this. This one was hilarious. Habs fans, we're having a field day with this one. I love it. People always want to have winners on their teams. I'd rather have a winner that scores 5 less goals than some loser I don't think that's how he meant it, but still, some loser, maybe it is, that just focuses on scoring 40 goals. We're going to play that Slafzilla animation. Jesse, this is amazing. Like, we've heard these kind of quotes from Slaf before. He's not focused about his own personal stats. When he first joined the Habs, he was like, I just want to get better. I just want to get better. When he signed his huge extension, he's like, I don't care about the money. I just want to win. Now he's getting an interview for this here. He's like, I don't care if I score 5 less goals. I want to be that winning type of player. I didn't know it was possible to like him more every single day, but somehow he's done it again.
It's funny how you can just read our minds. Like, he knows what matters to us. We just want the cups. We want them to get their rings. That's what really matters the most, right? But it's just so incredible to see because what he's kind of talking about is often exactly how we've described him on the show. Like I mentioned, like I don't mind Slap being a 30-goal type of guy if that's a guy that you win games with. Because for me, that's why you pick Slap. Not only is the personality, Nick Bobroff really came through on that, by the way, but it's also what he does on the ice. This is a guy who he's never going to be the big goal scorer that McKinnon or McDavid is. That's for sure. But the thing is like he can get 30 plus goals, but he can really help the team win when it needs it the most. He can play along the boards. I feel like playoff hockey is really where Slaf is going to shine. Like, mark my words on this. He is ready. Not only is he so competitive, he loves the game so much, but just the brand of hockey, being more physical, everything else, the skill like that's involved. This is where he's really going to thrive. And that's why it's so important why we're still so excited about this team. Because we know we got young guys like Lane Hudson, like Slaf, et cetera, that we feel to be very good when the limelight is the brightest. And like, this guy's been under for about 4 years now. He is the biggest star in all of Slovakia. Like, we're not joking. Like, the hockey players, they are the rock stars there. Like, this guy cannot go grocery shopping at all. It just turns into an entire photo shoot. That's why he loves in Montreal, even though he has so many fans. At least he can do some regular things in life, which has to feel great for him as well. Probably bring out the best hockey in him as well, which is definitely yet to come. So we see that, Slaf is definitely just going to be a beast in the future.
Oh man, like reading this, like you can feel the poise and the confidence that he has, and it's unbelievable. But I think you hit it right on the head there when you said, and when the limelight's the brightest, like this is where we're going to have faith in him, because it's this kind of personality, this kind of person that is intense in those moments. He's the kind of guy that just, you can feel him stepping up when the temperature rises in the game. You start noticing Slaf more. When he was first young and joining the league, he maybe made some more mistakes in those moments, but he has that passion, that fire that is hard to find in a lot of other players. So when the light's going to be the brightest in the playoffs, a big guy who can be physical, who can score goals, who can win every single board battle is exactly who you want on your side. Let us know your thoughts on his comments and the rest of the article if you want to down below, because I know a lot of people have had a lot to say about it, but we'll let you guys discuss that amongst yourselves. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Half of you still right now, there's probably more than 200 of you watching this right now that haven't hit that subscribe button. I know you don't like when I ask for it, but it works, and we have this crazy goal. We'd really appreciate it if you guys could help us out. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.